Good morning. Welcome to day number 18 of our 21-day Aquarian shift activations. We're coming along quite nicely. And I believe the question for today is, do we pretend the past never happened? Do we forget it altogether? Do we pretend it never happened? What do we do with the transgressions against ourselves and against our earth, our planet, against populations, against species, and all of the things that have happened in the past that have left such deep wounds and deep scars in our hearts? What do we do with it? How can we, right, when we talk about forgiveness and transcending, we don't want to forget and pretend as if, or just like, mask it over, paint a fresh coat of paint over that crack in the wall and pretend that crack isn't there. We want to come into wholeness and unity, right? We don't want all of this that we've been through to go to waste. We want to come into wholeness and unity, and we want to move forward stronger and better. And sometimes the way to do that for these deep transgressions is to bring forgiveness to the soul level, and to really just give it to our source, give it to the divine, and let the divine heal. And in that healing, there is, and it's like, when we speak of dark and light, in the Sufi teachings, it often talks of the darkness of just being that which is unknown to us, that which is, the light is not shining on, it's not known, and that which is in the light or enlightened is that which is known to us, that which gives us knowledge. So sometimes it is about bringing things to light at the soul level so that we see the overarching big picture. We have the broader scope, and our beings, our consciousness, our mind, our hearts, our souls, our bodies, it's like, so everything can get the bigger picture and have an understanding of it, and then like the body can integrate it and move forward with that, right? Even though we are in the realm of primarily consciousness, we still need our physical bodies and our energy bodies to be in sync. So today we talk about that level of forgiveness. The divine name is Ghafoor, and the transliteration of that is the GH, like a Gha in the back of the throat, Ghafoor, GHAF as in Frank, you are. And that divine, the sound codes of that are the Qaf is like that, that constriction or holding the breath, and the Four is like through that opening into the light, right? Where that light, that radiant light, it shines on those things that we did not understand or did not have a clear or all-encompassing picture of, and brings it into light so that we can see the big picture beyond that, those cross sections of time that we've talked about in this time and space realm, being the space worms, right? The time being that fourth dimension. And as time passes through this 3D realm, we get a cross section of it. So we have a sequential cross section of one instant at a time. This Ghafoor shines the light on the bigger picture so that we can see the whole. We can see the interconnectedness and the have an understanding of how everything fits together, and a heart-based knowledge and a soul-based knowledge that our source, the divine, is the orchestrator of everything, and everything does have its time and place and function and purpose. So let's come into our circle, sitting side by side, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, knee to knee, coming together as one. In the name of the one most merciful, ever compassionate, we call on you We ask you to send your vibration of your pure, unconditional love. And let's just feel this pure, unconditional love as it streams into our virtual space. Let this come in. Breathe it in through your heart center. And let that come all the way in and through your heart center. With each breath, take it in. And as you exhale, let your heart center come to a place of, as much as possible, releasing, rest, peace. And in your next breath, receive that unconditional love in even deeper. And as you exhale, let your heart come to a place of rest. And inhale, take it deeper and deeper, all the way into your vertical core. And let the love love you. If speaking of forgiveness, if speaking of the transgressions against you that have cut deep into your heart and left deep scars, those ones that seem unforgivable, that seem, definitely unforgettable and inexcusable, those that leave the deep scars. If there is that scar, if there is that place in your heart that feels that pain, that crack, let this love come right into that place, right into that crack, and touch into that place inside of you that may be crying, that may be yearning, that may be hardened by scar tissue. Let the love just come and be in that place, and allow that place within you to be loved. Allow that place within you to be loved. And see if you can just take that in. Allow that place in you to be loved. Let that love touch into that place of you that is so deeply needing the love and yearning for love. And let's call on that ocean of compassion, or Rahman. Let me just say the name of the unconditional love as well. Al-Wadud. Wadud for the unconditional love, and Ar-Rahman for the ocean of eternal compassion. Rahman. Ar-Rahman. The ocean of eternal compassion. And remember, this is that ocean of living consciousness in which your open cup floats. So let yourself be the cup and the ocean and the drop within the cup that is also the ocean. Let your cup float and sink and swim and drink in this ocean, the ocean of eternal compassion, the ocean of the living consciousness, the cosmic womb of our entire existence, and allow yourself to float in that ocean and be the ocean, and that place within you. As every human being, we were designed to yearn for compassion, and we are beings of compassion. So let your entire being absorb in that compassion. Let yourself be like the dry sponge floating in the ocean and absorbing into every pore of your sponge this ocean of eternal compassion. Let the compassion come in and saturate and satiate your body all the way through to the vertical core. Let it come all the way in and through to your vertical core, saturating you in the eternal compassion, Rahman. Rahman. Be the ocean. Be the ocean. We call on the divine name of Rahim. Rahim, which is the compassion that is for you in your cup, or what is inside your cup, and let yourself be that recipient of that compassion and reflector of that compassion, right? The Rahman is like the ocean. The Rahim is the drop that contains the ocean. The Rahman is like the sun, and the Rahim is like the full moon that reflects the light of the sun. Let yourself be the recipient of that Rahim and be the receiver of that light and that compassion and the reflector of it in the world. And Mutakabir, let yourself now breathe through your heart center. Breathe through your heart center, and with each breath, just let your consciousness, place your consciousness into that heart funnel. And with each breath, drop in and down and all the way into that point within your heart center, where your heart funnel meets your vertical core, right at that doorway between the ocean and the cup, and then which fills the cup between the ocean and the drop. Right, be right there at that focal point. Mutakabir, and let, as the water from the ocean of mercy and compassion flows between ocean and cup, ocean and the inside of the cup, just let it flow across that doorway. As you hang out right there, let it float across the doorway and let it release from that doorway any of the attachments to what is behind you or attachments to what may come before you. Just let yourself be and let that flow across that door sill between the worlds. And if we want to use the hand position and set up the antenna to point toward the Aquarian gateway, and with the thumbs pointing into your heart, Ya Allah, we call on Al-Ghafur, Ghafur, and I'm sorry, Ghafur is what we have today. Jumping ahead, this is Khalik, which is the creator, that big picture concepts of this new creation that is coming through this opening in the Aquarian gateway. It's accessible through this opening of what does this new creation bring for us? The Khalik. This is the creation of the existence reflecting the creator, right? The creation of existence reflecting the creator. This is the big picture. And let that template your field and your mental body and your consciousness, your living consciousness. And then Al-Bari, all of this new template now begins to differentiate the pieces of it, the segments of it, its attributes, its qualities, its relationship between each other, its harmony and flow. Al-Bari. And as you say the sounds, let these sounds and their sound codes ripple through your fluid body, and carry their vibrations, their meanings into your fluid existence and absorb into your cellular consciousness. And let this inform your higher knowledge. And invite your mind to be the witness and to learn from this big screen of your life experience. Okay. And then we call on Musawir. 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 And Musawir is the taking form and shape, all of the different pieces coming into form and shape of how things are going to be organized and differentiated within this new template. This template that gives us the patterning for living in unconditional love and universal harmony. And then al-Zahir, Zahir, Zahir. This is now crystallizing into your cellular consciousness and becoming manifest and evident within you and through you as your being becomes a manifest, evident component of this new creation. And you are templated with the new creation, with the universal laws of life that we will be governed by in this new realm. And then Batin, which is the hidden, right? Zahir is the manifest, the evident. Batin is the hidden. And this is the level of the soul. So this is now weaving this new template into the soul, body and soul, Zahir and Batin, body and soul. And then Awwal, taking, now moving your being, swimming through this ocean, through that gateway. Swim through that gateway, let your source and the angels guide you and support you in that transition through the gateway into this realm of unconditional love and compassion and universal harmony. Let yourself move through that gateway into that realm. And from Awwal is Ba'ith, right? We're born through that focal point and we slough off the old skin and allow our new cells to be regenerated in this new template, right? The new DNA sequencing that is activated within our bodies. Everything from this point forward is created in this new realm, and the old, as it dies off, is sloughed off and left behind. It's sloughed off and left behind. You're regenerating in the new. You are the new. You are the new. Be the new. And then after Ba'ith, we bow down in awe, in reverence, in praise to what is the most praiseworthy, awe-inspiring, leaving us speechless, so that all our hearts can do is melt into a pool of gratitude. This is Hamid. 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 Falling into that pool of gratitude. And just letting yourself be in awe of the magnificence and the majesty. And if, just let your mind, your imagination of your mind, it's almost inconceivable of what it will be like to live in a world, an entire world that is templated and governed by the laws of unconditional love and compassion and universal harmony on the physical plane. So just invite your mind to begin to imagine that. It'll be very different from the way we have been living. So let your mind imagine as your entire being melts into it. And then we call on Samad. And this is the waves of creation, the waves that emanate from our source through the fluid existence, then filling in every gap, every crevice, every doubt, every question with the knowing of this realm of pre-eternity. A wall is that the first and there is no first that takes us to the world of pre-eternity. Ba'ith is to be reborn in it and slough off the old. The Samad, the Hamid is just to like bow down and praise. And the Samad is the eternal. It is the eternal. So let your entire being be embedded in and filled with and embedded in a Samad, the realm of eternity, the pre-eternal, outside of the time and space realm. Samad, Samad. And then Wajid, Wajid. This is now, you're embedded in the realm of the pre-eternity. And Wajid is now integrating the inner knowing of the realm of the pre-eternity and the time-space, the realm of the inner knowing and the outer existence, the realm of the manifest and the hidden. It's interweaving your knowing of the all-existing. Wajid is the all-existing. Within your structure, within the structure, reflecting the divine life energy. Wajid. Wajid. And then was Basir. So Wajid begins to, open and integrate inner knowing and the outer. Basir is awakening the inner sight, right? And we use Wajid and Basir together to integrate inner sight and the outer sight, right? And the inner, as we awaken the inner sight, and Sami, the inner hearing. Sami, the inner hearing, as we awaken the inner knowing, the inner sight, the inner hearing, it opens us to a recognition of the oneness with all that is, of the unity of existence. And it brings us into a state of deeper love and compassion. Brings us into a state of deeper love and compassion. And then we called on Wali Hamid, Ya Wali, Ya Hamid, which is bringing that praiseworthy reverence, bowing down and melting in gratitude into that intimacy within your heart, recognizing that Wali is that protecting, trusted, intimate friend, the intimate friend of the divine, as the divine exists as a being beyond and as a existence within you. It is the existence that gives consciousness to your form and breath to your being and life force. So it is within you at the depth of your heart. And when your heart bows in reverence and praise and gratitude, it takes you to that deep, deep, deep place inside of you that is your connection with the all that is, and it is the most intimate place. Bring that reverence into that intimacy at the depth of your heart, and let that really take you. Let that take you to that an inner deep intimacy and oneness with all that is, right? That is where that place when the inner sight and the inner knowing and the inner hearing are awakened, and you really recognize the majesty of it all and the oneness that of all that is, and you bring that internal into the depths of your being. And you are, and there is no other, right? Except for there is the one. There is the one, and there is no other than the one. And you are. And you are. And we brought in Latif, which is the subtle and a recognition that there is always more to the mystery. The Latif is the subtle mystery, and there is always more to the mystery. There is only the source is the all-knowing, only the one. There is only one who is the all-knowing. And as long as we are in these physical forms, we will still have some limits, and there will always be more to discover of the mystery. This keeps us in that thrill of continuing to discover more and more of the mystery, and never assuming that we know it all, because we won't. There's only one who is the all-knowing. But Latif is the subtle. Continue to be in the mystery, continue to explore and discover the mystery, and love the mystery, the treasure hunt. And Ghafur is today. And the Ghaf is that constriction, that holding the breath, and the Furs opening through the face of the one, through the opening to the light, to the radiant light. This is bringing that which we do not know and do not understand out of the darkness and letting the light shed on it. This is giving us an understanding at a bigger level, an all-encompassing big picture of why things may have happened the way they did, and the greater orchestration of it all, so that we can, at the soul level, receive what our soul was to receive from these places and integrate it and move as a whole integrated being as we move forward in this realm of unconditional love and compassion, right? So for those places in us that can't just forget the past, we can integrate the teachings of it, integrate it into the soul, really receive what your soul was here to receive as you fly. I've been wearing my butterfly scarf and was wearing butterfly earrings. And there is, you know, well, I have a story I want to tell you. I'll tell you at the end. Let's play with Ghafar. Gah is kind of like gah, gah, kind of in the back of the throat, the gah, 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 and play with that gah, and let it, you know, let it kind of like bring to the surface that place of constriction and holding breath, and then pour, open it to the light. Gah, pour, gah, pour, gah, pour, gah, pour, gah, pour, gah, pour, gah, pour. And just let it open to the light. Let it receive the light within your body, within your heart, within your soul. Let that light come in and just dissipate the darkness. Remember, the darkness is the place of not knowing, and the light shines onto the places that were in the dark, and now you have the knowing. So let that shine, that light shine on the shadows and bring in the knowledge, the broader scope, all-encompassing, greater knowledge. And receive that in your heart and in your soul. Gah, form. Gah, form. Gah, form. And if there is self-forgiveness that needs to happen here, bring that, let that come up too. Any guilt, any shame, anything that you've been holding within yourself, let that come up for forgiveness, right? Remember when we were talking about not stopping with the pictures, That's an internal job too. To go behind and behind and behind and behind and behind, and we always find that place that yearns to be one with Source and is in pain from the separation. So let the light go all the way into the depths and into that place. Shed the light on it. Receive it. Receive it. Receive it. Let the light come in. The poet Rumi says the crack is the place where the light gets in. Let the light in. Let it shine the light on the whole. Receive the knowledge and integrate the knowledge of the bigger picture into your heart and soul. Off, 4, through the opening into the light. Off is the holding the breath, the constriction, and 4, opening to the light, opening to the light. Off, 4, off, 4. Let it transform your soul. And you can stay with that. If I may share a story about the butterflies. It's one of my favorites, and some of you, I'm sure, have already heard it, but it's so relevant here. So I invite you to listen with the ear of your heart. The butterfly, the caterpillar, this is like the whole thing is the story of the caterpillar, right? Because the butterfly, and I studied monarchs, and I used to be called the matron of the monarch maternity ward once upon a time, as I took care of the before they where we lived, there was a county park, and there was tons of milkweed growing in the county park, but they would come through with the big machines and mow it down. And before they came through, I would go out and harvest these big things of milkweed that would have these monarch eggs on them, and bring them in and put them in water in the barn, and I had a little safe place there for the monarchs to hatch into their caterpillars, and then their chrysalis phase, and then release them as they're ready to fly away. So the monarch knows that it has to lay its eggs on a plant that the caterpillars can eat, which is the milkweed. And so the monarch looks for the milkweed to lay its eggs. The eggs, when they hatch, there's little bitty caterpillars that you can barely see, and they start eating at this plant. They start eating and consuming and consuming and consuming. And they get to a certain point where they're too big for their skin, and they have to shed their skin, and then they can grow a little farther, right? A little bigger. And then they shed again, and they grow a little bigger, all the while eating the plant that is sustaining them, right? And you have to have a lot of plant to sustain them, because they consume much faster than the plant can regenerate. Kind of like we've been doing on our planet Earth. Consume faster than the planet can regenerate. And the caterpillar will go through this phase 5 times. 5 times. Before then it's a full adult size caterpillar, and then one day it feels the call inside, and it will go to the highest place that it can find, and it will hang itself by its tail, and it hangs in this little J shape like this, right? It hangs in this little J shape, and then you'll see it start wiggling after a while, and its skin splits at the bottom, at the head down here, and then starts making its way up the tail. And this thing starts to morph right before your eyes. It'll morph, and it will morph into this chrysalis shape, right? And what happens at this time is it's consumed all it can consume. It's grown to the point where it can no longer its life as a caterpillar is done. And now what happens is it releases an enzyme from within itself that completely digests its body. And as it digests itself, right, it releases an enzyme that digests itself. And the excrement from that enzyme in the monarch is this bright green, fluorescent green fluid. And that is what fills that sac of that chrysalis. And I know because unfortunately I knocked one over one time and it just splattered. And it was just green liquid inside this chrysalis. But what remains is invisible to our eyes. Our eyes can't see it, but they're called imaginal cells. And the imaginal cells contain the information for all of these parts, these little imaginal cells that you can't see. They feed on that excrement, right? The compost from the digested self. They feed on the compost from the digested self, and they grow into the parts that then come together to form the butterfly. And the butterfly stays in that chrysalis and forms until the outer, what is that, film of the chrysalis becomes transparent, and you can see the butterfly inside this chrysalis, this little chrysalis. So think about this. First, the imaginal cells that you can't see, that contain the information about how to become a butterfly and what a butterfly is, it feeds on the compost from the old life to develop into the parts that make up the butterfly. And then when the butterfly is ready to emerge from the chrysalis, the film splits open, the wings hang down, and they have to flap their wings for a while and hang upside down and let their wings unfurl. And then a butterfly, you only see butterflies fly during the day because their wings are like solar panels. Their wings can't fly unless there is light. So the light has to hit their wings in order for them to get the energy to fly, and then they can fly. I hope you're catching the spiritual significance of every step of this story. And here's another thing, right? Talk about the latif. There is more to the mystery, because with the monarch butterflies, the monarchs are just amazing creatures. They are migratory butterflies. So on the winter time, they overwinter down in Mexico or Southern California, or there's some places in Southern Florida. They overwinter in the South, and then that overwintered generation will fly north, and then it will lay its eggs. And the butterfly only lives for about 2 weeks, the adult butterfly. It'll lay its eggs, and then all this process happens, and then the adult butterfly will fly a little farther north. They go all the way to Canada, and guess what? There are 5 stages of the caterpillar and 5 generations of the butterfly. And the 5th generation of monarch that is born up in Canada has longer wings, so it can fly higher and longer stands and make it all the way back to Mexico, to the same spot that its ancestor 5 generations before it landed, right, and overwintered. So they take the same route and go back to the same spot 5 generations later. The mystery, right? There's always more to the mystery. And so it's like, as we go through the 4 and all of this, like that, we might not understand every little detail of it, but know that your imaginal cells that are templated for the new creation, the evolution of your existence, are feeding on the compost, and they're gaining knowledge and insight and information as your being emerges. And you contain everything that you need to live as the butterfly in this realm of freedom, the realm of freedom that is unconditional love and compassion and universal harmony. All right. And with that, let's breathe all of your energy and everything and all of the mystery and all that you've received from today. Bring it all the way into the core of your being, all the way to the core, to your vertical core. And as you exhale, let yourself drop down and land into your pelvic bowl. Remember the nun in your pelvic bowl, and let your center of gravity land right into that center spot. Halfway front to back, halfway side to side, your I am center. And kun fayakun, kun fayakun, kun fayakun, be and it is. And remember the nun, which is the sound code for the manifest, is that, looks like this, that cup with that dot in the center. Kun fayakun, manifest, be right here in your I am center. The new creation. Thank you. That concludes for today. I'll see you tomorrow.